Hello, welcome to the channel. It's me, Chris Brooks, for another LSB film podcast. Today's guest is a man who's lived a packed life with discipline, transformation, and purpose. Peter Wilson joined the Royal Navy at just 16, starting his career as an armourer before moving into construction and eventually forging his own path as a gym owner. He's been a professional fighter and a martial arts coach for over 30 years, training others not just in combat, but in mindset and mastery. But Peter's fight hasn't only just been in the ring. He has taken on the system itself. He is the founder of CheckMate The Matrix, a no-excuse movement empowering men and women to break free from limiting beliefs, win the matrix game of life, build sovereign businesses, and thrive in whichever path they choose. Today, Peter joins me to share his incredible journey, the lessons he's learned, and how he is now helping others to rewrite their own stories.
Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
So, yes, welcome to the show. Lovely to meet you finally. Great for you to spend some time with me to chat about what you're doing. Tell me, how did it all begin, Peter?
Well, the whole thing of the actual legal side began. So, actually, it wasn't that long after I had left the Royal Navy. That was back in 1984. I actually did go to law school. I went to night school to study law. I don't even think you can do night school nowadays. Can you do that? Do they do these things?
I
think it's
don't
all
know. I honestly
online
don't
stuff
know.
now, isn't it?
Probably, especially since COVID.
Yeah, but so that's what I had did. And that was back in the 80s, the mid 80s. And not long after that, I was in this. It was just a normal high school actually. Like I was going to. There was a law teacher went in the night time to do these night school classes. And I was amazed, at the complexity of it all. But really, when they were trying to explain the tort law, TORT, that's what really got me interested. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic. So how you can actually fight someone who's causing a harm. And that goes across the whole range of everything, including corporations, councils, and all of those debt collectors, that cause these torts or harms to all of these people all of the time. And the thing is, what we started now that I'm really deep diving in on the GDPR side, because that didn't exist back then, you can see that what they've been doing for decades has never changed. Even when they brought in the new legislation like GDPR and DPA 2018, they don't historically go back and go, do you know what, we have to change because we don't fit in with these regulations anymore. So they do the same thing as they used to do, probably back in Dickens' day when they were throwing them in the beggars' prisons for for being poor. It's not far off. They're taking people's property, they're taking everything that they own, and they're treating them as if they were criminals.
Or like Clive Edward calls them, third-class citizens.
But there you go, exactly, and but they don't pay any attention to any of the due process, to any of the data protections that are there for everybody and you should be having. And their actions alone, right, are a tort. And they're not allowed to commit harm simply because you have actually even if you've broken another regulation yourself, you can't use one regulation to actually harm somebody with another regulation, which is where the equity comes into it. That's why we're trying to get all of our members in our group to concentrate, yes, on GDPR, but on an equitable basis using equity, which is, hopefully, most people will know, the two absolute separate sections of the law, or which is the jurisdictions of a common law jurisdiction, but we also have equity jurisdiction as well. So the equity jurisdiction is designed there for fairness and justice and transparency, and that's what that is for. But it does not get used in statute at all, which is statute is the common law jurisdiction. And it's very rigid, it's like, well, did you borrow the money? In statute, yes. Did you pay it back? No. Well, you're wrong. And that's it. They don't look at anything else whatsoever. But whereas in equity they have to use their conscience, And if they use their conscience, it has to, okay, but what is fair though? What has actually really happened and how did this come about? Rather than, did you do it? Yes, or you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's statute, that's common law jurisdiction. So it's very rigid. So on, we combine the equity side and have a look at the actions of, doesn't matter who it is, be it like a mortgage company, be it like a debt collector for a credit card that's been passed on, sold on, assigned, whatever you want to call it, or even the
Council tax.
councils and the debt collectors for the councils. They are two of the worst offenders
Mm.
under equity and GDPR. It's horrendous. Due process, everything is completely boom out the window.
No, it
And,
is.
and that's what we actually concentrate on looking at. We never challenge, right? This is the biggest difference, I think, was because everyone's saying, oh, what's my obligation on council tax? And we shouldn't be doing this. It's illegal. Yeah, we know that. But if you go head to head, right, try to fight the council head on with just right, what you're doing is illegal. It's literally you are running up, going back to the invasion of the Romans, going up to like that solid Roman wall, and you're charging straight ahead of it and crushing your brains on that Roman wall, which is where we got Checkmate the Matrix from. It was like, look, we have to stop smashing ourselves to death on this Roman
Mm.
wall. Let's start to think a bit more tactically and be a little bit more like a chess player.
What's that
Find
old?
out how to go behind the
Yeah,
wall
exactly.
and fight them from behind them, flank them.
Yeah, what's that old saying? Too much, a little bit of knowledge is dangerous.
Well, 100%. And that is, the problem that you get with most like people who are panicking, and I'll give them fair due, I mean, they're worried, they're panicking, so they go and they search and they find a little bit of information and then they run along with that little bit of
Mm.
information without looking at the bigger picture and the wider scope of it to find out what all of the legislation ties in with that. You can't just use one tiny little bit of legislation or one bit of information because it's linked to a lot of other things and it might not be the correct line you're going in, even if it looks kind of like good for you at that particular moment when you've read it. You've got to find out all of the side parts to it before you start using it as what could be a weapon, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you use things like affidavits and stuff?
No,
No.
no. 100% their rules. Okay, so I've been in the public side, on the private side, and we use equity law, which is a private law, really,
Mm.
right? But right, what we do is we use 100% their rules. Now, when you say it is an affidavit, it's just done in their fashion. Okay, they call it a statement of truth. So,
Right.
why go, I'm not going to give you a statement of truth, I'm going to give you an affidavit. It is identical. So we will write it out exactly how it needs to be written. But we're only ever going to use their words, their rules, and their regulations, so they can't argue about it. They can say, oh, well, yeah, all right, but you've not got that bit right, but they can't say you're not allowed to use that.
Mm.
That's the difference. So, and I just think, I mean, obviously we've got a big group and we'll cover many, many different topics, not just on the debt side, but GDPR covers so many different aspects. Yeah, it's brilliant for fighting debt collectors, council tax actions, not the council tax, but the actions of them on the
Mm.
enforcement. That's what it can help with. Now, this is what I've been saying. We say, well, okay, well, if you can't, right, go and beat them with the council tax itself, because you always come back to the same thing. Last night we got a message off a member, and they said, "Oh, I've got this back," and it's all it says is council tax enforcement is lawful. Council tax is a statute; it's lawful under the Local Government Finance Act 1992. We never said anything about that, right? They wanted what do you call it, an SER or a DSOR, whatever you want to call it, a subject access request.
Hmm.
We sat down together, like she wrote it all down, she sent it off, right? And then they come back and they just all they talk about is the lawfulness and the legality of council tax. Not once did we mention it. All we were mentioning about their actions, what you've actually done with enforcement, and the GDPR, what you're doing with the data. But they'll always try and divert because they know that they are breaching your data. And
That's
they know
right.
they've got no defense for that. So they come back with it. Oh, yeah, it's like we're legal and lawful because of the Local Government Finance Act 1992. We never said you couldn't do it. What we said was you can do it, but don't do it that way. That's the difference.
Mm.
So.
No, it's they're so underhand and snaky. I mean, you've got to hand it to them. What they've pulled off over the last, what would you say, 80 years?
Well, yeah, 100% is gonna, like, I mean, it's been going on forever, but the construction that they've actually created that we can see kind of like, with even with our parents and grandparents for the last, like, say 150 years is just been so ridiculously corrupt that they've just literally ensnared everybody into this system
Mm.
that it just seems impossible to get out of,
And
which is
we're
the.
now at a point where it's so bad that even the average Tom is waking up to, hang on, something ain't right here. They might not be able to put a finger on what it is, but they know that there's something not right. And I'm just wondering where this is all going to end.
I know, and the thing is, if you look at, let's just say you've got all these different parts of society, and they're all being attacked individually. So, like the farmers, for instance, now they sit and go, "Hang on, this what? We're now going to literally lose our life, our living, our like legacy that we've had from families coming down these years. We're just going to end up with nothing. What we can't grow food. We actually get paid to not grow." This doesn't make any sense, so they're actually now starting to, like see that there's something wrong, and they're doing their protests and everything, but like nobody joins together though, do they?
No,
This
well,
is
I
the
think
whole
the thing
thing.
with, I mean, and I have always said this, so I'm not like being two-faced or anything. But with the farmers, it's a shame it took their own personal effects to get involved.
Everybody's like that though, what I mean? It's like I read this notice somewhere, and it was like, it was taking it back to the Second World War, and it was taking about, like, what the Nazis were doing, and they were taking one group of people and nobody defended them because, well, it's not nothing to do with me.
Mm.
So it is kind of like that, isn't it? And
Yeah,
nobody joins in.
yeah, I get what you're saying, but I suppose the difference is with this particular movement that the farmers have had so much public support
Oh yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
that
And
in of itself should be enough to say, at the end of the day, and I've said this to other farmers who I've interviewed, unless you're actually going to all join a hands, if you like, union and say, fuck off, government, we're not listening anymore, unless it's like, no, no more, enough, they're always going to be under the thumb of the government.
yeah, but yeah, exactly. But does not go right across the board of everybody though, I mean, because this thing come up, it was from a farmer, and I was actually listening to him because I thought, well, I felt sorry for them, mate, because it is horrendous. So I was listening to him, and listened to a few sort of like posts he was putting out, and what he was just talking about, what he was doing, and how bad this was. Like, I think it was a dairy farm, and they were losing all of the dairy cows. They had to cut back on this for whatever reason,
Mm.
and a lot of it for this ridiculous, like, net zero nonsense, like, like complete. But the thing is though, they don't get that still. They don't say this is nonsense, this is not true, this is an impossibility. They
Mm.
just say it's harming me. And the more that this guy was talking, the more I was like, you're not really getting this picture. And then he came out with saying, like, don't tell me about like conspiracy theories. I'm not interested in that. Like, I'm just losing my cows. And then it's there you go. It's just down to personal pain, and that's what they're interested in, is the personal pain, not the fact that, all right, well, if we do that and get net zero, you do realize then everyone is going to be dead. And
Yeah.
that, if there is no carbon dioxide, there is also no oxygen. So therefore, us being carbon are going to disappear, and all of the green stuff that your actual cows are eating, it's not going to be there to eat because that actually needs carbon dioxide to live. So, like, I mean, how people actually agree and fall for this is incredible.
We learnt this at primary school about carbon being the gas of life, and that without the carbon, you don't get the greenery. We've now got we've got more ice in the Arctic than we've ever had, records amount. We've got the most amount of what's the coral reefs, all because of carbon.
I don't know if honestly, I do know that they've got a bigger size, like, the Great Barrier Reef now is actually replenished and got bigger than it's ever been in recorded times. I do know that.
Mm.
So that means that something in the environment is thriving. And in reality, like let's face it, if you actually look at any corporation, who is it that's actually destroying things like the rainforests, which produce the actual atmosphere of the planet anyway,
Mm.
right? It's the corporations that are destroying it. It's the governments that are destroying it. They're the ones that are wanting to go and like pull down all of the rainforest so that they can grow like plants in it. It's just, it's insanity,
No, it
you
totally is
know?
insanity. And the biggest thing is that the most amount of carbon actually comes from the ocean.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's not air, it's ocean.
Yeah,
And it gets
exactly.
released into the air.
And but people just don't get it for whatever reason. They don't want to listen to that part of it. And but now like they've actually going to change the foods for these cows, cattle, whatever. I mean, I don't like eat meat anyway. I don't actually use dairy, milk, nothing like that, and haven't for like over 30 odd years had anything to do with it. So it doesn't bother me one way or the other on a personal
Mm.
sort of like dietary level. So I have no feelings about it one way or the other, apart from the nonsense of saying, well, how can you actually change the food that's been there for centuries? And one of the funniest things, well, it's not funny, it's one of the most like
Ludicrous.
ridiculous things, right? In where we come from, there is a whole estate, right? And it's like miles and miles and miles secluded. It's all fenced in so that you can't get like other cattle to go anywhere near it. And it's the only set of true wild cattle in the entire world, anywhere. And it's in Northumberland. Okay, so it's they're just literally roaming free on their own, but they are like I mean, like it's huge, this estate, and there's three separate herds apparently. So we went to see them last year and went up, and you stand and you can't get too close because you're literally wild. And we were like talking with the expert, right, who manages the herd, but they're not allowed to touch them ever, right? Ever. No vets ever go near them. So they never ever get any interference from any human at all.
So they never get sick then.
They never get sick. So we were just asking, I said, so what happens when one of them dies? And he said, like, obviously for things like that, what they'll do is they'll remove the body. They'll go in when it's been moved away from it, the other cattle, and they remove the body. He says, and 1 out of 20 will do an autopsy. He said, it's amazing. This guy's words, he says, and we don't know why. This is what he's saying. He says, we just don't understand it. They've never got any ever flea or tick infestation. Never, ever. I was like, oh, right, okay. I said, not just because it's not natural, it's their natural habitat, their natural food. Oh, maybe, but we don't know, right? So none of them ever die of any disease. It's always old age, or if it's a baby, right? And they die early, and
Mm.
one of them things. And there's no like calving season, right? These actually have babies throughout the entire year. They're born in snow, right? You got this is in the heights and the hills of Northumberland,
So they're
between the
big
border of
hairy
England and
ones. Are they the big
Scotland.
hairy ones with the horns? Yeah.
No, that's Highland cattle. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Highland cattle. These are they're called I think they're called what's the name of the estate? Chillingham. They'll probably call them Chillingham wild cattle, right? But that's only because it's on the Chillingham estate. That
Right.
they're
Okay.
white, or they're white, but they're very small compared to what you would see a cow, because our cows are full of steroids to make them big and bulky so they get more meat. These ones are much smaller. They're more natural
Okay.
because they don't get interfered with at all. So nature looks after them. Man has got no see vets, nothing, and everything works perfectly. But what does that tell you?
Well,
Stop
yeah,
interfering with nature, and it's going to work perfectly.
absolutely. I mean, you've only got to walk around the supermarkets, and you just think, I would say 90% of what you see on the shelves didn't even exist 100 years ago.
Yeah,
It's
and
just all processed
it's all toxic.
sugars, refined sugars.
Exactly, and it's all toxic. So I mean, if you do go into a supermarket, first of all, you should actually start requesting your data as soon as you've walked in, because
Or
there's
for
a great big camera
recording, yeah.
taking it, right? And you are allowed to ask for it under GDPR Article 15 as well, and you're allowed to do a verbal SAR. As soon as you've said it, they've got 30 days. Even if you're asking for Agnes on the till, right? They've got 30 days to reply, right? So,
See,
best thing is get a little camera so you actually record it as well, so you know the date and everything. And they have 30 days. A verbal SCR has exactly the same power as the written one that they can send in. And everyone says, "I've sent you a DSAR and all that."
mm.
It's got the same power.
So now
So
just imagine though, if everyone knew that and everyone did it, think how much work would be involved with these. They would do away with the cameras, wouldn't they? Because they would say, you know what, it's not
I've
worth the
been telling
hassle.
people this for ages. So like what you need to do is, right, you've all got these massive groups where you meet weekly, they used to be called Stand in the Park, and there's all these other groups. So there's groups I know of like
Mhm.
maybe sometimes 100 people a week meeting every week. So what they should be doing, right? Because now you've got like say Asda and Lidl and Aldi, and they're saying, oh, we're having facial recognition cameras in there, right? So if you actually got a group of say 100 of you in your local town, and then you linked with every other town, there was 100 in each town, and you all said, let's do Asda
Mm.
this month, right? You walk in and you say, right, I want my data from that camera, right? You're not going to cause a fuss. You're not going to cause, you just give them your name and address. And obviously, you have to be, because you're using their rules, SER, you have to be in the rules. So give them your name and address because who would know how to send the data to anyway,
Mhm.
right? And the whole point is if you go in, just say you went in yourself and you've gone in and they say, oh, okay, well, we'll get your data to you. And then within that month, they actually gave you the video, right? Everyone else is blurred out, blah, blah, blah. There it is, right? I mean, nothing's going to happen, right? Because they haven't broke any laws. They've given you
Mhm.
what you wanted. But what I'm saying is, right, if you go in you put your I want me I want me data. There's me SCR, and you get ready to do the filing a month later if they don't respond. But then 10 minutes after you've left, your friend goes in, and then the next one, then the next one, then the next one, and they do it every half hour or whatever it would be. So there's like 50 of you go into that. But in the next town they've done it again. In the next town they've done it again. Remembering that all of these SCRs are all going to go to the head office. So then you have like 2,000 a week coming in that they have to administer. So the admin headache alone is going to be horrendous. They are
Mm.
not going to get through all of those within the 30 days, right? So let's just say that as soon as it failed, that's compensation, £1,000 compensation. We've got videos to prove it as well, by the way. We can show you it all. We can show you exactly how it works, right? So if
And
you've
this
got
is all on your
thousands of them
website,
going
yeah?
in, you what?
And the videos are all on your website?
Not on mine, but I mean, I should share it, but like, yeah, I should do that. But like, and it was into what do you call it? A massive big shopping center. It wasn't just in a supermarket. So even bigger. They just walked in. I want my data. You're not getting it. Thank you. Walked away. That's a breach. That in itself is a breach if they say no. By the way, so you can get
There you go.
compensation for
Look,
that
people, if you
just
want to
because it
earn some
said no.
money, if you want to earn
Yeah,
some quick money,
exactly.
get in there and ask for your data and hope that they say no.
Yeah, so if the uneducated under GDPR, they probably are uneducated, right? They'll just say, "Well, no, get out." We've even heard them saying, "No, there's no law says you're getting your data, leave." Right? That's a breach. That's
Mm.
£1,000 compensation easily straight away. Even if they send it later on. So, but if you were doing it on a mass scale, and the headache of doing all that admin, they're gonna be, oh, shit, we can't cope with them. And not only that, it's gonna be costing them. So like, there's another 20 that day that we can't do. Well, there's another 20 grand. The next day, there's another 20 grand. How long would it be before them cameras went out them shops?
Exactly. And does this work on like high street as well? Like
If it's as long as it's like like not. Oh, do you mean
like council
outside?
like council security CCTV, like if you're walking down the high street and you've got CCTVs pointing down the precinct,
Yeah, 100%,
is that the same, yeah?
100%. And then what you'll find out, you'll get the notices will be coming back saying none of them are on. They're all not real. But which is something else you should be learning as well. Oh, really? Okay. But yeah, you
I
can do
suppose
it
you could test that out
whatsoever.
then, couldn't you?
And the police for the facial recognition, they're starting to do it more and more and more. That is illegal as well. And all you have to do is walk up and say, "I need my data, please." right? And we've got the caseload to back it under the Chief Constable of Wales, can't remember his exact name now, right? They got sued and they actually got prosecuted because it's illegal to do the facial recognition without the consent under Article 6 of GDPR.
Blimey. So
So
how?
you
So
use it, you know?
yeah, no, absolutely. So how long have you been studying all this? Because my biggest issue is my not attention span, retention span is not that great. So there's so many things that I'd like to do. It's just remembering it all. Like
Yeah.
when I'm editing this, I will listen to the conversation and I will pick up on things then which I haven't picked up now. Um, but no, it's such an incredible journey to undertake. And I suppose you can feel a bit isolated as well, can't you? Because to everyone else, it's like, oh, just pay your bills, or just it's like conform, conform, conform. So you've always got that as well. You've got the pressure from close loved ones and friends and family, and
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want to say. I'm either lucky or unlucky, whatever it is. But for years ago, we just went cut. I don't talk to any family whatsoever. Absolutely nobody. I don't speak to anyone. I'm completely alone. I want to be. I don't care. It's they've all been told point blank to the faces, like, you never speak to me for the rest of your life. Leave me alone. I'm off on here, and that's it. I'm not saying everyone else should do that. I'm not saying that.
is
But
there
so,
is there a particular reason why you went so hard, or is it?
well, do you know what it is? It's just like, like you put up with so much like abuse over a lifetime and everything like that. And it just got to the one point where it was like one time too many. It was like, no, never again. You're never speaking to me again. You're never coming anywhere near me again. And that's it. And I'm talking about every single member of, like, quite a large family. So, so I'm on completely on my own. Have been since, in fact, it was September 2012. And that's the last time I actually spoke to any single member of my family anywhere.
So you live alone, no wife, no kids,
Oh
no.
yeah, I got a wife.
Oh, you
Yeah,
have got fam. Okay,
yeah,
so you've
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah,
immediate
yeah.
family. Okay.
And a dog.
Wow. That's.
But
I mean, I
that's
don't
it.
blame you. I will admit that during the COVID years, I lost so much respect for people that I had respect for prior to that. Um, I haven't shut them out, but I don't make any effort in communication. Um, and that's friends and family. That's not just, but yeah, it is such a horrible thing to have to go through. But I think at the end of the day, you've just got to be true to yourself, haven't you? You've got to stand in your own moral compass. And if they don't gel with what you do, then yeah, you're better off without, really, aren't you?
But the thing is, though, like through life, and this is like, why I cut completely, is that, that you always allow, especially on the family side, you allow them so much grace. No matter how bad you are, you just let them off with it, don't you?
Yeah.
And you think, hang on, who do you think you're talking to? But then you just let it go, and then they're worse, and then they're worse, and you just got to let it go, and you know what I mean? So like, which I've been through it, but like now, which in COVID didn't make any difference, whatsoever. We didn't have anyone to talk to anyway. So it
You've
was,
been building up to that. You've been prepping
yeah,
unknowingly.
lockdown to what? Who? Where? It's like this, like just the same. The best thing was we would go down. We had four dogs then, no, three dogs then. So we would go down on the beach. It was deserted. We're like, for miles walking backwards and forwards, and it's like not seeing anyone say this is great.
Oh, I
Everyone
loved
else
it.
was bugging
Yeah.
off.
2020 was great. And where we used to live quite close to a forest and a river. So we would often go for walks and you'd see these people with masks on. And even like my kids at the time were like, I don't know, 5 and 8. And it's like, oh, zombies, zombies. And my little girl, bless her, then, if we were walking around Tesco's and they had the old mask on, she'd just do sheep noises.
Oh.
I loved it. It was great. And it was such a lovely weather we had that year. Do you
Oh
reckon that
yeah.
was by design?
Yeah, well, exactly. Complete coincidence, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Make
Mm.
sure it's a nice summer, keep them all locked in, But it was good though. He's just been able to walk, we're blessed. We had lived literally right on the coast, so we were out up and down the beach. It was like it's like completely deserted. The dogs doing whatever they wanted,
No
but then
policeman
right
asking you
behind
what you're
us,
doing.
yeah, and right behind us we got like woods going up a river as well. So we got that side as well. The same thing, just
Mm.
deserted. It's brilliant. But yeah, then you have to go into any shops, and I just always big smile on my face walking in. Can we give you? No, I'm fine, thanks, and just walk away. You know, you do get funny looks, like, but
I
it's still
think
this.
I initially maybe for the first week wore a mask. Um, that soon came off. I never clapped for the NHS. I thought, what a load of tripe. But that was just to give the impression that there was like a war zone in the NHS when really they were learning TikTok dances.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, what that was such a strange time, wasn't it? Such a weird time to be alive. I'm just curious to know whether people are going to fall for it again because they are going to put it again.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to come first, though? Is it going to be like a world war or the next pandemic? It's like we'll just have to see. Be interesting to see what kind of nonsense they're going to pull.
I did read an
I mean,
article earlier, and it did say that we should expect missile strikes.
yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? It's like what the kind of nonsense that they put out, and I think if once you've actually sort of like realized how ridiculous the whole pantomime is, I mean, I never pay any attention to anything,
Mm.
and I mean, yeah, it's got to be about like 40 years ago, and I was like listening to this guy. It was about like looking after yourself and like not worrying about anyone else, and he says, well. I never watch anything, never watch TV, never read a newspaper, don't listen to radios. He said, I don't listen to anyone. He said, in reality, if there's a bomb coming, it's going to land on me. Who cares anyway? And if everyone's dead, so what? He says, so just live your life and do what you want anyway. And then if it ends quickly, to hell
Live
with it.
like
Who
it's your
cares?
last. Live like it's your last. Well, actually, that's a question that I'd like to ask you because you did the Navy when you were younger, and you've done that kind of that side of life. What is your opinion of that side of life now that you've woken up to this side of life?
Well, that the thing, like I said, I never made a good sort of like serviceman because I was always still booking the system and saying, well, why then? What this is just ridiculous. Now, when I was in the Royal Navy, we went through like the Falklands War, then, which was a shock to absolutely everybody I ever knew,
Mm.
because every single like well, it was all men then on the ships anyway. You didn't get women on ships then. But and all of them were like, "Well, I didn't a war. I never came and joined this to go to a war. It's supposed to be a job." And
Mm.
that was it. It was like, well, Thatcher was ruined the whole industry of anything in any like shipyards and mines and that would all like just getting destroyed. So we're like, well, what we're going to do? It's like, well, we need a job. There's a job, you know. I don't know about any other. I can only talk about like the
Mm.
Royal Navy, and they were like shocked. And obviously, back then, the actual training of it all was how well trained. The Royal Navy was the best in the world. It was the best navy, ruled the way. Britannia
Prestigious.
rules the waves. So like it was like so amazing. We have to nothing to worry about in anyone. And then watched HMS Sheffield get like blown to pieces by Argentina. We think, hang on, what, that's not allowed to happen you know, and then all the other ships as well. And the thing is, most of the stuff that went on there, people still don't know about. How many ships got destroyed? They got no idea. Um, but and you just seen the nonsense of it, and it's like I say, like I wasn't ever very good at doing what I'm told, and people giving me orders doesn't go down very well. So I spent more time in trouble than anything else. So uh, but you just see that side of it is completely ridiculous, completely
Mm.
brainwashed. And I found it like not only because I was getting into trouble all the time, getting locked up all the time, but it's painful, to actually be in that existence and just see so many completely and utterly brainwashed people. Just it's just every single day, and they're doing what they're told and they're listening to the nonsense that goes on, and the what was it's what is it's like the class side, right? The upper class, the middle class is so like shoved down your throat when you're in, definitely in the Royal Navy, but probably in all of the forces, and you're saluting the officers, and that's how the Royal Navy do it, by the way. So it's all different, completely different. Um, yeah, I just couldn't cope with that very well, all of that. And even in, when you look back and I've got these brochures and you're looking at the brochures to join. I mean, I was going to
I was
join
going to
my
say, what
view.
made you want to join, given your personality with authority? It seemed like
I know because like what
bulimic
I could
working in a
see.
bakery.
I had this image, right, in my mind of like more of being like a pirate, right? I was like going off into like the sunset, sailing off on, like
Yeah, yeah.
beautiful seas and everything like that, right? Look through all the brochures, I was like, hang on, going back 5 years and see, like, where's all these guys scrubbing the toilets on these pictures? Because this is all I'm doing, and I can't find anybody doing that in here, and that to me, my mind was sailing off, and I still love going to sea now, by the way. And I'm this month I'm going back up to Scotland, where I used to be based in Rosyth, to go boating out. And like I've got a license. I can drive boats on the sea, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I love
Mhm.
that side of it. I just going out. And the weird thing, whenever we got into the sea and sailed out, I used to love to go up on the deck and just wander around and be able to look out and not see any land. I loved that. Not see anybody, not see anything, just you are literally on your own. To me, that was paradise. I loved it. But everyone else hated it. We're like, no, I want to go back to shore. They, what do you come on a ship for then?
I
You know?
suppose, yeah, I love the tranquility of it. And like you say, you're even on a riverboat. We used to have a riverboat, and you'd go places where no one else could go, no cars, no people, and it was just bliss because you were on your own, even though you were on land and a river, you were on your own, and it was beautiful. It was bliss, and so I can relate to that. But on the flip side, I can also understand it from their point of view that if you start to get a leak, you're fucked.
Well,
And you know
that's
when, and I
that's
think that's the fear that plays, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing as well. Like, if anything goes wrong, you can't exactly run away, can you? You're stuck in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny how people react. I mean, it's like, I say, I'm going back up to Scotland, going to be driving, they're called like ribs, rigid inflatable boats, like, they're only about like 16 to 20 foot long, depends on what model. And I've been driving them since the 80s. Love it, getting out and just, we can get like 30, 40 mile or knots per, and that might not sound a lot, but when you're on top of waves, it's
No, it
fast
is.
and it's
Yeah.
dangerous. Um, and remember, like we used to do this as a living, and we would go out and, board these fishing boats. We'd have to go in, check the fish, like make sure that this is back when we used to have a fish squadron, when we used to have fishing fleets around the UK in the 80s, 70s and 80s. And so we would go and check them and stop foreign fishing boats coming in and taking the fish. That's what it was for,
Oh, how
right?
times have changed.
It doesn't exist now. They haven't. We used to have, I think, it was about 30 odd fishing boats, fishing fleet protection
Mhm.
boats. Now there's none. And I remember this guy, Scottish guy, as trying to think of his name. It's like it was Mackenzie. I can't remember his first name now, Mackenzie. And it was like going out, and we had just checked the sonar where we were going out to get this boat, and I turned around to him and goes, "Oh, this is a deep bit of sea we're on here now." He goes, "Well, what do you mean deep?" I guess, "Well, it's actually over a mile deep, just where we are." And he started panicking, and he's like, he's been at sea 30 odd years, this guy, right? And he's like, "Oh, take me back, Tim. I'm not being in here. I'm being here." I thought, what difference does it make? If it's like 10 foot, you're still going to drown in it. It's like, well, what's the difference? He was like terrified of it. Yeah, we
It
was
seemed a
like
bit
panic. We couldn't go
strange.
back. We just had to let him panic, you know what I mean? Sorry, you got to jump on this fishing boat. Doesn't matter how deep it is.
And
You can't stop crying.
he'd been on boats for 30 years.
Yeah, yeah. Probably
Oh,
no
fair
one ever told him
fellas.
how deep it was
That's
before.
weird. Gee, how strange is that?
Yeah, but
That is
I know
bizarre.
people who had been in the Royal Navy for 9 years and never been on a ship, never went to sea. Crazy.
That is crazy.
But
So
yeah,
talk to me about your website, your Matrix. What was it called? Sorry?
checkmate the
Checkmate.
Matrix.
That's it.
Yeah,
So
it's a private group.
Hmm.
And so it's actually on a platform called school.com, which is SKOOL, school spelt that way, school.com. So, anybody can go on and open up a private group on there. So you just literally go on. I mean, you could say it's similar to like, say, Facebook in a way, because you can go and open up a private group, but you do have to pay to actually get on. You
Right.
pay
Okay.
this guy to go on the platform. So you can open up a group on anything you want, and there's thousands and thousands of groups on there. It can be about like, knitting, football, whatever subject you can open it, and then you invite people to be in the same interest group as you.
Okay.
So the group we opened was just about private law, equity. Obviously in there we've got going on talk about like the debt smash where you've got your credit cards, bank loans. It isn't about the loans, it's about when they get sold to the debt collectors.
Mm.
We've also got the one on how to deal with council. It's classrooms. So literally school.com, and then you got the classrooms in there. So, it would be a different layout, but it's very colorful and very attractive, the layout as well. It's very easy to navigate. And it just covers so many topics, even just like going on to what the differences between legal and lawful, and obviously knowing that we do have a person, but we are not a person,
Mm.
as in the straw man, right? As it's separate, and which it is, and as long as you know how you've got it and you can control it and use it, then and this teaches that part as well. All these separate classrooms, and but it's got a community side as well. So it's similar to social media. You can go in, but it's private. So the only fact checkers in there are us. No nutcases that are going to ban them for like thinking that there's like a different shape of Earth to anyone else and things like that. Um,
That's
and
good.
you can put like questions in, posts in. You can even chat to each other as well. And what we do is have a weekly meeting, a live weekly meeting every Thursday. Like it's today, isn't it? So
Hmm.
every Thursday at 7:30, and everybody's allowed to come on and have a chat and ask questions, and you know what I mean. We'll have it's an hour and a half that we have every Thursday, and I know that there's a lot of people on there. We get, I think, between 70 to 120 on there now, like every Thursday, and they all look forward all week to getting on there just to have a chat and listening to people who at least got like a similar mindset to them. So
Yeah, and I
it's
think
good.
that's really important these days to find these pockets of people that you can resonate with, so you don't feel quite so despondent and so desperate in
And
a big
lonely.
world all your own. So yeah, that sounds really good. I will leave a link to your website in the video description. So anyone who would like to go and check that out, and I would recommend that they do, please do click on the link below, but after the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, and they can come. It's like, they get a free week to try it out as well, see what it's out. If it's not for them, just no hard feelings, just stop.
That's cool.
So it's there's no commitment on it and can do whatever they like.
No, that's cool. And it's not expensive anyway, is it? Because I know there are some groups where they charge ridiculous money, but I think it was only about 13 or £15 a month.
It's actually dollars, so yeah, because it's a US based
Mm.
platform, so it's like $15. So I don't know what's that,
So it's
12
about
quid,
£13.
right? Yeah, something like
Mm.
that. So and even just and that's a month, by the way. So they can go and do that, and it's like at the end of the month, they think I just can't be bothered anymore. You know what I mean? So what's that like? If going with them posh coffees, really,
Yeah.
it's not far
No,
off.
no, it's
Or
not.
a posh coffee and a slice of cake, and that's it. It's gone.
Nice.
So. And I think we're more interesting than Costco's.
Oh, goodness, yes, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. Um, yeah, I'd love to have you on again at some other point, maybe, to see how things are progressing and whatnot. But have a great time in Scotland. Safe journey. How
Oh,
far is that from where you are then?
so well, where I'm going, it's probably about 3 hours drive to get up to the Forth. Like where the bridge is, the big Forth Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the Forth Bridge, but then you got the Forth Road Bridge. So only the Forth Bridge is the railway one, right? People get confused, right? That's the Forth Bridge. Okay, the road one is the road bridge. Can't get it wrong, the wording. So that's where I'm going to be, right underneath, which is it's amazing, really, because when I first got my first coxswain's ticket to drive these boats, was there, right there. That was like in 1983. So different organization. This is the hilarious part, right? So we were actually out in the North Sea, off the Hebrides, off the Shetlands, boarding these fishing boats. So I'm driving a boat, right? Well, one minute like the ship's there, the next minute it's 20 foot above you, the next minute it's 3 foot below you, and this is how dangerous it was trying to get the crew to jump on the rope ladder to get up. I'm not saying they had a worse job than me, but it was all dodgy, right? And then these waves smashing over you, right? And that was what we got the license to do. And then when we come out and we speak to the Royal Yachting Association, right, they don't recognize our qualifications. So we have to go back and do the beginner course. And the beginner
Oh.
course is going along a flat bit of sea or river, even in the Forth, right? Because it's only the estuary. And it's like, yeah, and it's all flat and calm and like we do man overboard exercises and so I've been doing that for years and like waves 30 foot high and everything. But no, we got to do it on this flat bit. Now you can have a license to be registered with the Royal Yacht Association. Don't worry about nearly killing yourself every
It is
day for
balmy,
4 years.
though, isn't it?
Eh?
That is balmy.
It is, yeah. I just can't believe it. But I mean, we got to pay for it as well. You got to pay for the license. So I tell you, next time we come on, we can specifically talk about specific cases and how we've actually done it and used GDPR to actually overturn the debt collectors and actually get compensation in thousands off the debt collectors instead of having to pay some fake debt as well. So we can be very specific and teach people how to actually do specific things and win cases against them as well.
Well, there you go, folks. You've just heard that. That's definitely one to tune in for. I'm there already. We'll arrange that. Sort
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I hope everyone watching this has enjoyed it. Look after yourselves. Take care, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye bye.